Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Pipeline Podcast. On today's episode, we will be talking about Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, which came out somewhat recently. And we're very excited to talk more about it. And so, to talk about it, I am your host for the evening. My name is Jared. I'm bringing kind of a medium energy to this one. I know you're used to me being a little more bombastic than this. But yeah, Jared, also known as One Muffin in the Discord. And with me today is.
It's me, it's CMM, it's Clay. Hello. I made it back to one of these finally.
Welcome back. Yeah, we're
Feel
we're there's been a lot going on. We're gonna try to get back into a regular cadence soon, but there's been a lot going on every front. So bear with us, and you'll see the fruits of our labor. What would you say is your energy level for tonight on a scale of 1 to 10?
um hmm. Uh Probably about a 4 right now.
4, damn.
Yeah, I'm about a 4, yeah. Yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
I'm at like a 5.
Oh, okay.
It's a
That
it's
doesn't
a
bode
it's a
well.
it's a chill night. We're gonna have fun because I like this video game.
Yeah, too bad you
Uh,
didn't finish it.
I Okay, so this game has the main campaign,
Yep.
which has a bunch of little Waddle Dee challenges, which are very fun. I do like doing those. And then there's a bunch of little side rooms called treasure rooms. Yeah.
Or I think it's like Treasure Land or something.
Yeah,
Treasure Road.
Treasure Road. And the Treasure Road levels are like challenges that focus around like different power ups. And those
Yep.
are very fun too. And then after you beat the game, there is a post game where you play through the entire game. Oh, we're doing full spoilers for this, so if you haven't played
Yeah,
this game, go
we'll
play this game
do
right now.
we can start with like a spoiler-free
Yeah,
segment.
but can I
Um
can I tell what the post game is at least though, without like
um
spoiling?
I mean, no.
Okay, we'll talk
Let's
about the
let's
post game
get
later. But
we'll
there
get to
there is a
that.
post
There
game,
is a
and
post game, yeah.
I am started the post game, but I haven't finished it.
Yeah, I have 100%ed game according to the in-game percentage counter.
So does that mean every treasure road, every
So
Waddle Dee, and
that's
every
every
soul?
waddle.
I
That's
mean,
every Waddle Dee, every Treasure Road, every um, every Gotcha capsule as well. Those are factored in.
wow.
I don't know
And
if it factors in ability upgrades, but I mean those are all upgraded
is
too.
is the post game stuff in there? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot.
I was doing a lot of the Wild D things, but towards like the end, I was like, if I don't get them all in one level, it's okay. And I don't
Yeah.
really super mind. But they are very fun. They're great rewards for replaying levels. So let's start. Clay, what are your general thoughts on Kirby and the Forgotten Land?
So, I'm a huge fan. I super
Mhm.
dig it. My main issue in the beginning was that it was a little bit too simple, mostly due to the abilities only being a single button,
Mhm.
um, which I thought was kind of strange after what they did with Battle Royale on the 3DS, where there was like a light attack and a heavy attack. I kind of thought that's what they were going to go for. Um, in Forgotten Land. So initially, the abilities are so simple that it's kind of boring.
Mhm.
But this ends up getting alleviated by the ability upgrades as time goes on. Another thing that really helps is they have the implementation of the the dodge roll
Mhm.
in the game, and if you time it correctly, the game kind of goes into like this slow mo bullet time um, thing, and it lets you get like extra hits or do additional damage to fights and stuff. So that makes the
Mhm.
fights and the bosses in particular more dynamic and interesting, I
Yeah,
think.
they're definitely satisfying. I definitely lean towards the more complex, complex in quotes, weapons
Yeah,
because some are just so simple that they are, like you said, a little boring.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think ice is a little boring. Um, it's just
Ice, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of the ones that I found the most boring at the beginning of the game. And so there's not a lot of abilities in this game, right? Like there's like
no
there's like around
10.
like 10 main ones. Yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
couple like like Crash and stuff like that,
Hmm.
but um
Sleep.
yeah, but the main abilities there's not many of them. But they all upgrade to at least 3 levels.
Hmm.
And like for sword, for example, sword is probably the most complex of the abilities because not only do you have the aerial moves and the standard combo on the ground and the charge move, you can also do like a slide
Hmm.
into like a launching move and then into a slam. So like
That's very fun. Yeah.
yeah, so like sword is one of the more probably the most like complex of them. But then
Hmm.
you'll have something like I don't know, say fire in the beginning is just you blow fire, and then if you're in the air and you move in a direction in the air, you'll do the fireball like you
Hmm.
normally would in Kirby, and that one's
Yeah.
fairly simple. um, so they kind of range, but again they get more interesting due to the upgrades,
Hmm.
um, and sort of like the general chaos that those upgrades cause.
Yeah.
um,
Some of them make the weapons feel pretty different.
yeah,
I like
there's
the great sword. I thought was pretty fun.
Yeah, so with the sword, you upgrade to the second one, and it has like this longer sword, and it's generally slower but does more damage, and the charge move kind of changes from a spin attack to like a sword slam.
Yeah, and
Um,
you can't dodge roll with the heavy one.
oh really? I did
I
not
think
know
you do
that.
the shield, or maybe that's a different
Y-
weapon.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I didn't mess around too much with that particular iteration.
Yeah.
Um, but there are some new abilities, namely drill and the ranger ability.
Hmm.
Um, They're okay. I like the drill and the stages that are made around it because it has a nice flow to it.
Hmm.
Um, you can, bury yourself underground and then let go to launch out. Higher levels of the or higher upgrades of it, like will shoot out a little drill too in the air.
Yeah, that
And
one's cute. I like drill a
there's
lot.
and then there's also the whole like you can like drill in a circle and let go, and it like kind of makes this giant
Yeah,
like explosion quake thing.
I didn't know about that until one of the treasure roads. They're great at
Yeah.
showing you like hidden abilities.
Yeah, the treasure roads are fun, as challenges. I mean, if you've played, uh, Kirby Returns to Dreamland on Wii, and you have done, like, some of the ability challenge areas, they're like those, obviously in 3D, and they're a bit more unforgiving because
Mm,
each so you when you do the treasure road, all you have to do is finish it in the time limit, and you get a rare stone, and the rare stones are what one of the items that allow you to upgrade your abilities.
mhm.
um, but each treasure road also has a target time, um, and those are not necessary for 100%. They're not factored at all, but if you want to, you can go ape shit and get the target times for those. I was getting a lot of them in the beginning, and then as I went through, I was kinda like, "Alright, I'm good." Some of them are very
Yeah,
tight. Some of
some of
them are
them are
very
very
tight.
hard,
Yeah.
especially like one of the tornado ones. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
have the patience for
There
this.
there was one that I
I don't
kept.
like the tornado ability. I don't like Ranger very much either.
Yeah, Ranger is kinda it's okay.
It
You
slows
have
the
to
game
kinda
down too
it
much.
does, yeah, it's a bit slow. I don't enjoy, like so if with the Ranger ability, if you hold the button, you kinda get an aiming reticule, and the reticule moves pretty slowly,
Mhm.
um, to aim, and it also charges up as you're aiming too, so it kinda gets progressively slower.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, it's not, like, the worst, it's not the best, like, there's certain situations where it's kinda fun, um, but, I think the ability I like the least in the game is bomb. It feels
Oh
like
yeah.
you just don't throw them as far as you expect to throw them.
I barely ever used bomb, and unless I
Yeah,
had to for challenges. There's not many challenges
yeah,
that require bomb.
yeah. The
It
upgrades help
also
it a
has
little
the same
bit.
thing as Ranger, where you hold the button down to throw it.
Yeah,
And
where you can
I don't
use the
think those have.
reticule.
It's just it's fun for hitting some targets, but it's not fun for regular gameplay.
Yeah, the bomb improves a little bit with the upgrades because it introduces this like homing bomb mechanic, um,
Hmm.
and this tether bomb mechanic where like they'll like tether
Yeah,
together and like cause like big explosions and stuff. But
it's
the
really clever, but it's not very
Yeah,
useful.
but the act of throwing the bomb is not particularly satisfying.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say that's probably my least favorite.
Mhm.
There's you kinda you'll see pretty quickly which abilities you tend to prefer.
Yeah.
Beyond the abilities, there's obviously the mouthful mode stuff too, which is
Mhm.
pretty fun. Um, there's I'd say probably roughly like 10 mouthful
Yeah.
permutations. There's not like a huge amount.
There's not as many as you think there'd be.
Yeah, like based on the demo, they showed off a bunch of them. Like, damn, like how many are
Mhm.
there going to be? And the answer is, well, not that many, but
Yeah.
they're still fun. Usually they're pretty enjoyable. Sometimes they're kind of monotonous. I found the light bulb one to not be particularly fun.
Yeah, those
Um,
levels are clever,
yeah,
but
I'm not really
yeah.
married to them.
No.
I like the arch one where you fly, which has a handy dandy invert control button, which I liked a
Mm.
lot.
Yeah.
Um, the vending machine is fun.
Mhm.
Um, the pipe is fun because it's very simple.
Yeah, the pipe leads to some good, like, jumping
And
challenges.
I like
It's
the
just
roller
like a pipe that
coaster. It's
rolls
just
down the
the roller coaster is
Oh,
not used
yeah.
much, but I
Mhm.
like the roller coaster. And the ring mouth is fun too. It gets I think it's one of the ones that gets used more often and has more applications. Um,
Yeah, the ringlet is some interesting like, the ring and the boat stuff
yeah.
were were stuff I didn't really expect to be in there. I
Yeah.
thought that was clever.
Yeah. But in general, the game controls pretty well.
Mhm.
I think another thing I noticed is that when you inhale, it feels like the range for your inhale should be longer than it is. I would constantly be trying to inhale stuff, and I was like too far away, even though it seemed like I wasn't.
Yeah, it goes pretty
Um,
long in the 2D ones.
yeah, so it's there's some adjustment to be done there, and I know people have read from the interview about how they kind of like adapted um, like the enemy hitboxes and stuff to work in 3D, where if it like
Mhm.
looks like the attack should hit, it will hit, which I think
Yeah,
is cool. It's a very
that
nice
is nice. And it
quality of
doesn't,
life thing.
like it's not, like, jarring either.
Yeah,
Like, it feels natural, it's
it
not
feels
like
normal.
it
Yeah,
doesn't make it feel like I mean, obviously, Kirby's kind of a baby game, but it doesn't make me feel like, "Oh, that's, like, a baby idea." Like, it
yeah.
just feels natural.
Something I really do enjoy throughout the whole game. Well, I guess we'll start with this. So there's Waddle Dee Town. Waddle Dee Town's
Mhm.
the hub of the game. And as you get more Waddle Dees, you get more stuff to do in the hub. The hub kind of grows. There's like a very basic town building element
Mhm.
um, to this, and I enjoyed that immensely. New shops open, new things appear.
Mhm.
Um, eventually you get some of the mini games start showing up.
Mhm.
Um, there's some cool stuff. Um, I had a lot of fun doing that. I think it's a little bit of a shame that it kind of like peters out at some point and kind
Mhm.
of you stop getting stuff
I
that
I know
often.
why, though,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they want you to unlock everything like, they assume that most players aren't going to be getting every Waddle Dee.
yeah. And you do get something minor for getting all the Waddle Dees, but it's nothing, nothing
Mhm.
crazy. You just do it for percent. I mean, I wasn't getting all of them to get something like amazing.
Yeah.
Once you're like basically through the campaign, like you've pretty much seen what is going to happen in Waddle D Town for the most part. There's
Yeah.
some stuff that comes up, but
I like that the game doesn't lock away too many, like,
yeah,
things beyond, like, getting, like, everything, like, a game like, Tropical Freeze, like, you have to unlock
hmm,
everything to get some, like, the really hard levels, and that's just
yeah,
I wanna see most of
yeah.
the content if I pay for a game. I know that's, like, silly, but I
Well,
don't
you
know.
get to see. Yeah, I mean, this game is very good about letting you explore a variety of content without having to go crazy.
Mhm.
There's more for you if you do decide to go crazy, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah.
I think the average person, will get most of the Waddle Dees because you're just in like if you're playing the game and paying attention at all, you're going to get most of the Waddle Dees.
Yeah, some
Um,
will be a little more challenging,
yeah,
but the ones that annoyed me were the boss ones. I think the boss Waddle
yeah,
Dees are kind of frustrating because I don't like it when you can't get all the Waddle Dees in one go easily,
yeah,
and some of the
yeah,
boss ones you just can't.
yeah. Some of them are like you need to beat the boss with a specific power, which you don't
Yeah,
know what that power
and
is
you don't know it.
beforehand.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
that's frustrating.
And then all the boss ones also have like beat the boss in X time and beat the boss without taking any damage,
Yeah.
which is fine as
Mhm.
far as bosses goes. I would have been fine if they didn't have extra Waddle Dees in the boss stages. Um,
Yeah, I think they could have just been the bosses and then just be done.
yeah, and just have like the Waddle Dees that you get for beating the boss and call it a day. But
Because it is like
it's not that big a deal.
it's kind of a fun challenge to do 'em with no
Yeah,
with no damage. Like I did actually do
yeah.
that for a fair amount of them.
Yeah, I did it. I ended up doing it with all of them. The bosses in this game. So Kirby's kind of known for the crazy boss encounters and stuff, and some of the bosses in the game are very simple, but others, kind of get to that, you
Mhm.
know, wild um
Wild.
level. Yeah. Um and the thing with the bosses in this game is that because the dodge roll has this bullet time aspect, I think the bosses are easier than ever
Mhm,
to cheese or to get good at doing because I mean, you know, uh, the 2D Kirby bosses are complex and the 3D bosses are the same, but just being in 3D, there's a lot more room for error, I think.
mhm. And the
Um,
dodge timing is very, very,
it's yeah,
loose.
it's ultra forgiving. Yeah.
So if you're dodging within, like, the full, like, second, then you're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and even like if you're just guarding and the boss is approaching you for an attack, it'll go into bullet time even if you haven't like actually done the roll yet.
Oh,
There's
really?
there's
Oh,
some bosses where that's very evident.
I
One of
didn't
the
even know
later
that.
bosses is Silly Dillo, and when he rolls at you, he's like, half a screen. He's like a quarter of a screen away from you, and I'm just standing there guarding in place, and
Sh
it starts slowing down.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That one was fun. That took me a couple
yeah.
tries to, get it with no damage, but it felt satisfying.
Something that's kind of funny, I think, in regards to the Waddle Dees as well, is at the end of every world, you need a certain number of Waddle Dees to access the boss, but it's such a comically low number that it never
Yeah.
factors in.
I
Like,
Oh my
ever.
god.
Like, I
Also,
don't even know why they bothered.
yes, that was so annoying, and then what's also frustrating is, like, I know the game is, meant for a younger audience, like, I know that, but after every single world, it says, "The Waddle Dees took down the tower, now it's time for," like,
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Why do you need to display that message? I think even a child would have gotten the idea after 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, there's some stuff like that in there, but overall, I think
Mhm.
it's very fun. I think
Yeah.
the stage variety is fantastic. The
Yeah.
worlds are very fun. It's not just like, there's some elemental worlds
The
like
the f
fire and
the
whatever, but
first 2 worlds are very simple, but then it
yeah,
really veers off. Like, the first
yeah,
world is like your grassy
yeah,
greens, which
yeah,
is kinda boring. It's an entry world.
yeah.
It's like, this is fine." The second
I
world gets
think
a
I
little more
think
interesting.
I think the first world gets slightly more interesting due to the dilapidated,
Yeah, like the mall
architecture
part.
and the
Yeah.
mall and stuff like
Mhm.
that, yeah. The
There
second
are
the
some
second
things.
the second world is a beach ocean world,
Yeah, but it's, like,
which
also, like, oil rigs and stuff,
yeah, and I
and that
also
makes it
really
more
enjoy how
interesting.
they handled Kirby in the water in this game. You don't
Yeah.
swim in this game, you don't, like, go underwater in this game, you
Mhm.
just float on the top, and it's pretty much like walking on the ground in terms of,
Yeah.
like, speed and stuff, so
There's
it does
absolutely no difference.
yeah, the pacing feels great because
Mhm.
you're not moving at the speed of shit.
Yeah.
Um, the third world is the amusement park.
That's
Um,
where it starts getting, like the
yeah,
themes start getting really cool.
yeah, and I guess we can start going into spoilers now.
Yeah.
If you're listening up to now and you're curious about it, if you like Kirby at all, you'll enjoy it. If you like 3D
Yeah.
platformers, you'll enjoy it. It's a little simple. There's forced camera perspective because the levels are very simple, and sometimes it feels like you can't like jump or explore things that should have obvious secrets, but you kind of figure out what the game wants you to see eventually.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like a very fun, very light 3D
yeah,
character actiony type game
yeah,
with
yeah,
some platforming elements.
yeah.
You actually in this one, this is I think the first time since 64 that you can get
Hmm.
tired in the air, so you can't just
Yep.
float through the whole level,
Yeah, you can't just float. You do get tired, um,
which is
which I think
interesting.
makes sense for the what the game does.
And also the height at which you can float at is
Yep,
dynamic based on
it
where it
is.
wants you to get to, which is interesting.
Right. You need to jump off of higher ledges to be able to get to higher flight levels, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So that you can't really cheese some of the platforming that's in
Mhm.
there. But yeah, so the fourth world kind of steps it up a little bit, and it's a snow world, but it's like almost like a clock tower, like almost like like a UK Londonish
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
a cool, like, yeah,
yeah.
old-fashioned city.
Yeah, it's neat. And then what's fun is, you have those 4 worlds, and then you actually go to another continent.
Mhm.
Um, and the 5th world is a desert, but it's kinda like it's more of like a post-apocalyptic
Yeah.
desert.
Apocalypse Desert.
It's not just like sand world, which
Mhm.
I think is fun.
And that was
And
a
then
good world.
yeah.
That had some
And
cool
the last
caves in
world
that.
is, the fire lava world, but even that feels kind of neat because of the structural stuff that's going on
Mhm.
there. Um, and then of course, there's the short final world,
The lab.
which is the lab. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, an interesting progression. Um,
Yeah. Did you have
uh,
any standout levels throughout the game?
um, the stuff that happened in Wondaria, the amusement park, were
Mhm.
some of the big ones for me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that stage with the where you go through the different circuits with the car.
That's a
Um,
cool one.
that one's fun. I enjoyed there's that there's some stages towards the end of the game where you it kind of gets it mixes the lava theme with like the mechanical factory
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
theme, which I think are very fun. Um and I mean each of the stages feels very distinct and
Mhm.
interesting. They all have their own, thing going on.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but
I think one of my
yeah.
favorites was the ghost house one in the
Yeah.
amusement park.
Yeah.
I thought that one was really cool, like visually, and it's just a fun level with a lot of variety.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Those are some of the ones that use like the light bulb mechanic, which I'm not
Mhm.
like super wild about, but like they're not like they don't overstay.
They
They're
don't
welcome.
overdo it. Yeah, there's like I
Yeah.
think there's that level and like a cave level later on that use it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's certain segments where you're using the mouthful mode stuff, but they're generally not too obtrusive. That being said, if you're going through the stage and you don't intend to use the mouthful mode stuff, it's kind of like what I say with New Super Mario Bros. 2, where it's like if you're not interested in grabbing all the coins or whatever, the levels can get a little featureless depending.
Yeah.
Um,
They will seem very boring because you can walk
yeah,
past most enemies in this game,
yeah,
without any harm at all. Just doop doop doo, walk walk walk. Like if you don't care about waddle dees or anything, you can breeze through the game in like seconds. Obviously, you need some for the bosses, but
yeah. I mean, the fun is kind of exploring and
yeah, you're not
finding
gonna
all
have
the
fun
little
in this
things.
game if you're just riding through the levels.
Yeah, if you don't care about finding any of the waddle dees and stuff, it's whatever. The missions are fun. I think the missions add a good bit to each level.
Mhm.
Um, make them feel a little bit more, a little bit more interesting and featured than they might otherwise. There's some interesting missions in there. Like there's one early on where you have to find like 3 seagulls or whatever, um, which is like a fairly basic mission, but like it's kind
Yeah.
of fun to like run around
Uh,
and find the little stuff.
my favorites are the duckling ones,
The
where you have to
ducklings are
take these
cute.
little
Yeah,
ducklings back to their mother. I think they only used that one like twice, but
yeah,
it was cute both
it
times.
was yeah, it was very cute. There's ones that are just like, don't get squished or don't fall or
Yeah, some of those can be
whatever.
frustrating because you'll finish the level and you'll be like, "Oh, I missed that one little thing." Like I saw like a
Yeah,
little sleep guy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I didn't like eat him, and then it was like, "Oh, you had to eat him for a while." He was like, "Oh,
You like
okay."
take a nap. Yeah, yeah.
Now I have to run back to the level
There's one
and then
towards the
walk
end
through
where
the
it's
rest of
like
it.
find the treasure next to the 3 cactuses, and I'm like, damn it, it's on the very last screen. I almost went over there and didn't, and then got the goal and the mission popped up.
I think I gave up on that one.
Yeah, if you don't have a mission at the end of the stage. Basically, if you complete a stage and you've completed at least one new mission during it, it will show you what one of the missions that you did not get
Mhm.
is. So you don't have to like, go crazy figuring it out, because they are, just question marks by default.
Yeah.
But generally, if you're exploring the levels, you'll find most, if not all of them.
Mhm.
It's kind of
Yeah,
hard to not.
I definitely got a lot of them on my first try. It's only like a few
Yeah,
levels where it's like, I got like one, and then it's like, great, I have the second one. Now what's the third one?
yeah, yeah.
But the levels are short enough, and like I said, you can just run through them pretty quickly if you're not doing the objectives. So you can pretty easily like run to what you need to do.
Yeah. The game is gorgeous. It sounds great. It looks
Hmm.
great. Runs
Yeah,
perfect. The mini games are fun.
Yep.
They're not so the 3DS games have more substantial sub games, whereas some of the more traditional Kirby games like Return to Dreamland and this one have and even Star Allies have like smaller sub games. So
Mhm.
they're not the most in depth, but they are fun and
Yeah.
cute.
The
You have the mini game where you have to give the food to the Waddle Dees, which is fun.
I couldn't do the hard version of that.
It took me a while to get the hardest version of
I
that,
gave up. It was
the
hard.
frenzy,
It's
yeah.
very fast.
And then there's the fishing mini game, which is kind of barely a mini game. It's
It's
but it, it's
it's
it's it's cute.
disappointing. It's
Yeah,
cute, but it's like it's literally nothing. It's just like you get
yeah,
a random amount of coins and input a button
yeah.
combo.
You will finish basically like each of the mini games and like modes in the game, like the side modes. You'll get a special figurine when you have completed
Mhm.
it
Which is
all
cool.
the way or whatever. And so the fishing one, like it takes like maybe like 10 minutes at the most to get the special figurine for that. But
What do you need to do for the special figurine for that one?
You just
Just
have to
like
get the biggest type of fish,
oh, so
which
it's just
does not take
random.
long. It's not random.
Oh, it's
When
not.
you catch fish in a row, you have a higher chance of getting bigger fish,
Oh.
and you do get more complicated button inputs. Um,
Yeah, I was doing it for a while and then I gave up, so I don't think I
yeah,
got
so you'll get
the
like this
final
big
thing.
giant fat fish, and then it'll be like, "Hey, you got the big fat fish. Here's a thing." Um, and the others are pretty self-explanatory. Like you just beat each of the levels
Yeah.
in the
What
mini
Tilt and
games.
Tumble is a
Yeah,
fun little
that
labyrinth
one's
game.
fun. That's my
Yeah.
favorite of them.
There's 3 levels and then there's 3 harder versions of those or
Yep,
and uh of course I had to do it all for that one.
yep,
I did beat all the challenges for that and that felt good.
yep. You also get special figurines for just doing stuff in the town. Like you get shops that'll let you, for example, you when you get the cafe, um, if you buy enough food from the cafe, you'll get a special figurine for
That's
doing
cute.
that. When there's a shop that opens up later where you can get like they're basically like energy shakes.
Mm,
um, so there's three types: one that makes you more powerful, one that makes you move quicker, and one that gives you a massive life up. And it's this specific one that is probably the most busted, um, because the life up not only restores your health, but it gives you a second life bar. Um, so if you order enough shakes from that guy, he'll give you a special figurine too. There's a lot of figurines. There's 256, I think. And all the ones that are 3 stars and up have actual like descriptions and lore with them, which is cool. And they are part of the 100%. And it's worth getting them. I think there are some
mhm.
really cool ones.
Yeah,
There's that guy
each
you can, yeah.
oh, go on.
I'll just say there's that guy you can enter the present codes to as well. If you enter
Mm,
enough present codes, he'll give you a figure. All of them have like if it's a figure that has a requirement, it'll actually tell you what it is in the menu.
hmm,
Um, if it's just one that you can get randomly from the gotcha machine, then it's just whatever.
yeah. The figures also have like uh the higher tier figures have like full like paragraphs on them,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
interesting.
There's
So
some really
it's a lot like
cool.
Dark Souls where you're learning the lore from the items.
Yeah,
Uh,
the figures are very fun for the lore. There's some of them that are classified as like lower star figures that I wish had
yeah.
descriptive text with them, like certain enemies and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, it'll be
But
cute to learn about those.
for the most part, the uh, the figurines that matter are the ones that have actual like descriptions and paragraphs with
Yeah.
them.
I was reading
Um,
them for a while and then I stopped, but they were fun.
yeah, they're cute. And what's fun about them is that not only can you like look at them like in 3D while Kirby's kind of like looking at them like he wants to eat them. You can also put them in your house,
Yeah.
which I think is very cute. You can put 3 figures like on your mantle. Um, and as you finish the side modes and stuff in the game, you also get special like commemorative photographs that go on Kirby's wall in his house. So
Mm,
it's cute to see that develop as you go through. Um, so that part's very enjoyable. And
yeah.
honestly, getting the figures with the coins at the end, like it's kind of generally you finish the game and all the content, and all that's left is to get the remainder of the figures. But by that time, I'd built up so many coins, it didn't actually take that long to get
Yeah.
all of them from the
I
random
do wish
gotcha
you could buy
machines.
like 10 at once though.
Yeah, yeah, it would be cool if you could do more at once.
What was the
Um,
other thing? There's also the arena.
there is the arena, and something that's neat this time is that they kind of give you a an arena that you can do before you finish the game.
Mhm.
Um, so there's multiple of them. I thought there were going to be more, honestly, but
Yeah, I only
there's
did the
only
first
a few.
one where you fight Meta Knight and you get his
Yeah,
sword.
yeah. There's like an exclusive Meta Knight boss to that arena.
Which is cute.
Um,
That's cool
yeah,
that they included Meta Knight in there.
yeah. So I guess we can talk about post game. So once
Yeah.
you finish, and the ending in this game is absolute batshit.
Mhm.
Um, you go into this post game where the lion dude, Leongar, his soul is kind of split into a bunch of pieces. And so this is the kind of like the EX slash like like how there's like DDD Tour or like Meta Nightmare and other Kirby games where you go through all the stages again but under a different conceit. Um, in this game, it's this like this dream thing. So in the Waddle Dee town, this portal opens up essentially, and you go in there, and it's an extra world. And each there's like there's several stages, and basically each stage is one of the game's worlds. There's
Mhm.
some mix and matching in there to keep it interesting, but you pretty much are playing remixed versions of the stages with
Mhm.
harder bosses. Kirby games
And different
typically
enemy
will,
locations.
yeah, like the enemies will be different, layouts will be different, secrets will be in different locations, like stuff will change. Um, and it's kind of smashing a bunch of those level chunks together. And the conceit in this is that you're trying to find the pieces of Leon's soul. Um, and so each stage has a certain amount of pieces. It's usually a very precise amount, it's like 49 or like 52 or something
Yeah,
like that.
you have to collect 250 out of 300, I think,
Yeah,
to unlock the final thing, which I don't know what that is, which Clay will tell
yeah,
you about in a bit.
yeah. It's pretty easy to get all of them though. I only missed one ever, and it was in a
Oh
stupid
wow,
spot.
aren't you
Yeah,
fancy? I got like
it
47 out of 50 of the first level.
every level the boss will give you five, and then all the others are hidden throughout.
Mhm.
And there's hidden capsules and stuff in each stage too.
And some star
Um,
pieces too. There's
yep, and there's a rare stones are hidden. Um, generally, it's like one per level. There's a rare stone hidden and a special capsule hidden. And they're not specific capsules, like you don't have to get them. They're just like the higher rarity capsules because there are
mm,
four rarities of capsules. There's like four volumes of them basically. So in the post game is where you get the volume four pieces. Um, yeah, it's fun. The bosses are upgraded. They have new moves and attacks. They look funky and different. They're like dream boss. They're called Phantom Gorimondo or Phantom whatever. So that's fun. Um, and then that it's fun because most Kirby games the like little post game thing like Meta Nightmare or whatever is not actually canon. Um,
mhm.
but in this game it is. It takes place like after the main story, and it's part of the game's lore. So you basically just all it is you save Leon from the gross creature that is taken hold of him.
So is there a
Um,
new boss or a new level at the end?
uh, sorta. The Leon fight is again upgraded, and there is you end up the final fight of the like extra stuff is Morpho Knight, um, similar to how like Galacta Knight shows up in some of the other ones. After you fight Leongar, the little butterfly flies in. And possesses forget if it possesses the little creature that's in the laboratory or not, but you fight Morpho Knight, and that serves as the final boss to that mode.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that is when you get the final version of the arena, which is I think Ultimate Arena Z, I think it's called
Oh,
something
that's
like
cool.
that. Ultimate Cup Z maybe, and that has a special boss in it as well. So
Oh,
they have some special bosses in each of them. You know,
that's cool. They save some content for the professionals.
yeah, the thing that's a little weird is most Kirby games, when you go into that post game, the mini bosses will also get upgraded. This one
Hmm.
they don't. They're just the same mini bosses, which is kind of weird. Um, but all regular bosses get upgraded and have new attacks and patterns and health and all that. So when you're going through that final arena, it's all like the ultra powerful bosses that you fight. And so even though Meta Knight's not in the main game, he shows up in an arena battle early on, and then in the final arena, you fight a phantom version of him as well, which is
Mm.
exclusive to that arena. And at the very end, you fight because the final boss in the story you don't fight in the post game like an upgraded version, but you do fight an upgraded version, a very upgraded version in the final arena.
Oh wow.
Um, so you fight. I think it's Chaos Elforus or whatever. And after you
Is that
beat
was that a
that,
hard fight?
yeah, so it's the only fight that's actually kind of hard, I think. The Mostly because of it's an endurance match. It's
Hmm.
particular the second form that is difficult because it basically turns into a flying matter orb that has a bunch of very devastating and crazy attacks, and it's the same fight, and you're probably already running out of health from having fought a really long boss.
Yeah.
Um, so it's very easy to cheese with the life up thing. That's what I did. I was just like, yeah, I'll use the life up thing, and you
Oh,
get an
the
extra
energy
bar of health.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
I never got any of those, but
yeah,
I
you
could see how
get
they would actually be useful in the
those.
post game.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth mentioning. When you beat an arena, there are certain rewards you get, and usually it's like a figure. Sometimes it's a blueprint. Um, the ultimate power up in this game is the Morpho Knight sword. So sword's the only one that goes up to level 4 in terms of
Oh
upgrades.
wow. Hmm.
And the Morpho Knight sword is basically like kind of all of the swords put together. So you have the projectile that shoots out, like Meta Knight's sword. Um, you can do the spin attack. You can do the slide and jump. The only thing you can't do is Meta Knight's crescent slash. But to make up for it, if you hold the charge button long enough, the sword turns into the big sword from the second upgrade, which gives it extreme range, a lot of damage, and makes the projectiles it shoots out much longer. But it only lasts for a limited amount of time.
Hmm.
Um, so a lot of cheesing the bosses, especially in an Ultimate Cup, you can cheese the frick out of the arena with
Oh,
the Morpho
so you
Knight
get
sword.
that before you do the final one.
Yeah, you get that's like the final
Oh,
power up
that's nice.
that you get.
Because I thought,
Obviously, you still have to pay to upgrade
yeah,
it, but
I thought you got that from the last arena, and I was like, oh,
no,
that's cool, but you can't really use it. But that's cool that you
no,
actually can use
you
it.
get it.
But,
You get it after finishing the post game
mhm,
area, and it's extremely helpful in that arena.
mhm.
Because yeah, it does such an incredible amount of damage, and and the dodge is also really good. You can actually the dodge is different in that power than some of the other ones. So
Mhm.
usually you have like kind of like you can flip around at certain like angles, like in cardinal directions. The Morpho Knight dodge lets like Kirby disappears, and you can kind of like trace a path that Kirby follows
Hmm.
with the dodge. So it's a very dynamic dodge as well. So everything is very much like upgraded for that sword. Like that is the ultimate power up. Um, and then once you have all of the power ups upgraded, you can continue to power them up with rare stones. It just increases their
Oh, that's
damage.
cool.
So like right now, I have like the Buzzsaw +1, which gives a certain amount of additional attack power to it. Certain abilities, I'm pretty sure all of them can only be upgraded to a certain point. Morpho Knight you can upgrade only once, and it's just
Mm.
like Morpho. It's like Morpho Knight plus Star. So Star is like the highest level. So if they give out present codes, in the future that give you rare stones, that's what those are going to be used for, is to upgrade the attack power on your abilities, as opposed to like just the different forms. So that still keeps going. Like I haven't maximized all of those. It's not. I don't think it's possible to right now.
Mhm.
Um, but um, yeah, it's super cool. The arena is very fun. The game is very lengthy and feels very good.
Yeah, it
Um,
feels like a solid package.
Yeah, I there's some things that I wish were a little different, but overall, um, I really dug it. Um, the map screen I didn't mention, but the map screen is kind of cool because it has little secrets hidden in it too.
Hmm.
If you hover over certain areas, you push a button, and you'll either get a coin or it'll make one of the treasure road stages pop up. Like some of them are hidden in the world; they don't just like automatically show up. Which I didn't realize till like partway through the game when I accidentally found one. Um,
That's funny.
so yeah, I mean, between the main game, the ability upgrades, the gotcha capsules, the mechanics for boss fights, all the treasure road stuff, and all the Waddle Dees and missions, the Waddle Dee town that kind of grows with you, and then the arenas and the blueprints and how all of it kind of like fits together is very satisfying, I would say.
Mhm. Yeah, there's
Um,
definitely a good amount here if you're someone who likes to do everything.
yeah,
But
if you like to
I
do
think even
everything,
if you
yeah.
do like the main story, I think you will still be pretty happy with this game.
Yeah, I think honestly, like even if you just play through the main game, you'll probably be compelled to play through the post game because it's kind of
Mhm.
just a remixed um, version of the stages, and I think it's still interesting enough with what it does. It reappropriates that stuff
It feels
very well.
different
Yeah,
because the secrets are different places, and that's like such a big part of
yeah, and you're
the
looking for the
game.
soul pieces, so
Mhm.
the types of stuff that you're looking for through the stages is different, um, and it like that there are new aspects to some of these stages too. Like it's not like new areas, but like some of the stuff has changed to a significant degree. Um, but yeah, no, it's super enjoyable. I had a very fun time
Mhm.
doing it and getting all of the Waddle Dees and getting all the content
Yeah,
in
I'm
there.
excited to at least. I'll probably just do the post game and end at that. I don't think I'll probably bother with the final arenas,
Yeah,
but
the final arena is honestly not bad if you just use the life up.
yeah.
Um, It's especially if you use the Morpho Knight power. So the thing with Life Up 2 is because you have for Morpho Knight and Meta Knight's swords, they only shoot projectiles when you're at full health. However,
Mm.
if you are using the Life Up ability and you have a second health bar, only one of your health bars needs to be filled to max to get those projectiles.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can have, barely any health on that first life bar and still be able to shoot the projectiles out. And the projectiles are very helpful, especially with Morpho Knight, or especially the Morpho Knight ones, because they are pretty decently powerful.
Mhm.
Um, so that I think this game is probably the easiest Kirby to 100% out of some of the recent ones. The quote unquote true arena is not as hard um, because you have the ability to use those protein shake modifiers.
Mhm.
So the game gives I mean, you obviously you can do it without it if you really want to, but the game gives you the ability to, you know, actually like complete the game with, with some in-game tools. So
Yeah, and you can also just like there's the game doesn't punish you at all for switching to the Spring Breeze mode either.
yeah, yeah, I actually did not touch Spring Breeze at all. I played in wild mode.
Yeah, me too. I did try it out in the demo just to see what it
Yeah,
changed, and you just get a bigger health bar.
yeah. I don't know if enemies change as well. From what I understand, in wild mode, there are certain areas where there are more enemies,
Hmm.
but I don't know that for sure. That's just what I heard.
Clay, you're
Mm,
someone who usually prefers two-dimensional video games. Is that
yeah,
correct?
that's correct.
How, how do you think Kirby's translation into 3D worked?
I think it went pretty well. I think there's some stuff that's lost, um, mostly in terms of platforming.
Mhm.
Um, there is platforming in this game, but it's not. It's different.
Well, was there ever really much platforming in Kirby though?
There's some. I mean, it's
Because you
not.
can fly
It's mostly
forever.
combat, right? Like it's mostly
Yeah.
combat. It's just because you're in a 3D space, some of the stage areas and level designs are inherently simpler.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not like Kirby stages are particularly complex to begin with.
Mhm.
I
Like
think
you
it's a
said
very.
earlier. Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say I think it's a very good transition.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
also pretty happy with it. I hope they can, like you were saying. I think a second like button,
yeah,
like for like heavy attacks, would be nice for some of these powers.
Yeah.
I think a few more powers in general would have been nice.
Yeah.
Uh, but overall, it does feel very nice. You also pointed out something that I felt was that because it's in a problem that you don't have in 2D is you can
Mhm.
fly anywhere in the world,
Right.
and in this, there are places that seem like I should be able to get there,
Yep.
and you just can't, and
Yeah.
it feels odd.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's the stages are a little restrictive, um, by design. It doesn't particularly hurt the game. It's just
Yeah, no,
you just kinda that's just how the game
I
is.
think it works well. I'd love to see them go even further at some point.
Yeah. There's some
Like,
weird stuff like, in the stages, like the platforming challenges that you really see are like stuff like at the edge of the map. Like you can jump on a little ledge and then jump on another little ledge and then jump up to a higher one and then get to an awning and then
mhm.
like that there's a secret up there.
They use that well.
They
I
use
do
that a
like
lot.
that.
They use it a
Though
lot, but they use it well.
mhm. Though I would like to see, like, I think this proves that Kirby can work in 3D.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see, like, a more, like, open Kirby game at some point with, like, full camera control at something. I think it could work. I think this proved that Kirby is not, like, this impossible thing to work in 3 dimensions.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely very workable in 3D, and I think this is a good jumping off point to do
Mhm.
other stuff too. Um, I'm glad that they seem to be keen to continue both.
Yeah, that's
I
definitely
think there's
good.
certain things that 2D Kirby does that don't really totally get replicated in this game, and I think there's some stuff in this game that is obviously allows for more possibilities. So I think the best route forward is to have 2D and 3D Kirby games.
Yeah.
I think that's a net positive. I think there's still there's definitely things you can do with both. I would have been sad if they had decided that, you know, 3D Kirby was the only way forward. I think they've made the right call having both. And
Yeah,
I'm eager to see what they do with
and I bet they're also a lot more challenging on the team too, because I don't think HAL's,
yeah.
like, the biggest team in the world.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, you know, I think they do a fantastic job. I think they use they obviously this game has a huge variety of assets, and pretty much every one of those models essentially ends up being a figurine.
mhm.
And you can kind of see how much unique stuff that they built and made for this game. And the game is very diverse and benefits from it greatly. Not only due to the amount that's in there, but also the way that it's remixed very smartly. Um, so it, I know there's some concern lately about like certain Switch games coming out and they're kind of like a little light on content, um,
Mhm.
at launch or, forever. Kirby's not one of those. Kirby feels very, very, very fully featured. It does
Yeah,
not
it
feel
feels
like,
like a complete
yeah,
video game.
yeah, it doesn't feel like there was anything left. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I'm sure there was stuff that wasn't implemented, but
Mhm.
like, it doesn't feel like there's this doesn't feel like there's this like dearth of content like that something
Yeah.
should have been there.
Which
It feels
which
very complete.
maybe we'll hear about in a few weeks.
Yeah, maybe, maybe.
Maybe. Maybe.
Um, for a few games actually, now that I
Yeah.
think about it. But yeah, no, Kirby's the complete package. One of the best exclusives on Switch, I would say.
Mhm.
It's very charming, very fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. The first Kirby game that I've played since Robobot, which I guess
Mhm.
wasn't that long ago, but it's definitely the most fun I've had in a Kirby since 64, I think.
Yeah,
Like, I did really enjoy it.
I'm a Kirby mega fan. And I play every Kirby game, and I generally 100% all of them for the most part. I still have to do like Team Kirby Clash or Super Kirby Clash or whatever, finish that or whatever. But most of them, if there's a new mainline Kirby, I will play through it um, pretty religiously. And as someone who enjoys all kinds of Kirby games and really enjoys the modern era of Kirby games as well, um, this satisfied me. Like I was not disappointed.
Mhm.
So there that I think it will. If you don't enjoy Kirby, I don't know if it will change your mind,
No.
but um, I do think that some people may enjoy Kirby more in 3D than they do in 2D, and I think
Hmm.
vice versa is also true.
I think
It's
if
a
you're a
different
lapsed
flavor.
Kirby fan, you should give this a try.
Yeah,
Even if you think like, oh, I liked Kirby games when I was younger, but then they got kind of boring. I think this might bring you back.
yeah. I think it's definitely a easy recommendation for lapsed Kirby fans, or anyone who kind of likes 3D platformers or platformers in general and
Mhm.
enjoys that kind of thing. Like it's one of I think it's going to be one of the defining games on Switch when all is said and done in terms of like
Wow.
if people come up with like lists of games that are well
Mhm.
remembered or
Yeah.
unique or well done on the system. I think this game will be on those lists,
Yeah,
alongside
definitely.
Odyssey and alongside Dread or
It
whatever.
it did it didn't do like obviously it's not Kirby of the Wild, but it did take a franchise and do something different with it. Something that
Yeah,
you're so used to Kirby being one way, and then they're like, hey, what if it was a little different? And they're um, pulling on the strings a little bit, and they worked out. They
yeah. I think I personally don't really care for or particularly want a like open Kirby. I don't think everything needs to be open personally. Um, and I like the stage by stage progression of this one. I think it works extremely well. And I'd
I
love to
like
see more of
stage by
it.
stage too. I think they can do that and do like camera control and like make it a
Yeah,
little bit more like when I say a little more open, I don't mean like open world. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
mean like think about like a Spyro level
yeah,
uh, versus like a 3D world level. Like I would like the control of like a Spyro game where there's like places to explore like within those linear levels.
yeah. That being said, um, the uh, the way that the camera works and the way that the game flows, you never really feel like you are fighting with the camera or fighting with what you're
No,
trying
yeah,
to
it
do.
doesn't get stuck behind objects.
Yeah,
There's sometimes you want to tilt it a little bit too far.
yeah,
You're like, oh, I want to see like what is, and just like you can like tilt it like a little tiny bit, but other than that,
yeah,
it doesn't
yeah,
cause issues.
yeah. It doesn't ever cause an issue. I don't think.
Yeah, and there's some nice pretty angles. Like one of them is really nice where I think it's in the desert world where it's that
Hmm.
cave level,
Yeah,
and you start the level on the outside of the cave, and it looks so pretty because the camera's tilted up, so you see like this
yeah,
big giant cave,
yeah. This game
and you head
actually,
towards it.
this game does a lot with cinematic camera angles.
Hmm.
Um,
It's a great looking game. It really
yeah,
is.
it's very very pretty,
The,
impressive game with a lot of unique mechanics that
I
all
will
kind of
say,
come together.
yeah, there's one thing with the visuals that annoyed me
Hmm.
is that if something is even slightly far away,
Yeah,
it goes into like 5 frames a second.
it's like Pokemon Arceus,
It's
where
it's it's a little
yeah,
jarring.
yeah, where at the edge of the screen when stuff is far away, stuff will just kind of
Yeah.
barely animate.
It
Um,
makes you seem like, oh, they're pushing the Switch to
it's very
its limits
noticeable.
here. Yeah.
It's extremely noticeable, but it's not that really that big of a deal,
No, it's not
honestly.
super, and it still looks beautiful otherwise, but like
Yeah,
that's the sacrifice they made
yeah,
to get
yeah,
the visuals to look that nice.
yeah. And I mean, it worked out because the
Yeah,
game
it
is
paid off.
gorgeous in
Mhm.
TV and handheld.
Yeah.
Um, I guess for last thoughts, yeah, I mean, I would love to see more experimentation with this in the future. I think the ability upgrading and mouthful mode stuff, all kind of work, and the Waddle Dee Town sort of all works together um, to elevate this game, to bring the complexity up a little bit enough
Mhm.
so that it's satisfying. Um, so in another 3D game, I guess I would love to see, you know, more powers or maybe something else instead of mouthful mode, or maybe a
Mhm.
more significant town that gets built up or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it is a credible starting point for 3D Kirby, and I say that, and that doesn't sound. I don't think that does it justice. So I say starting point as if it's like lacking something, and it's not.
Mhm.
I just think a sequel is going to be obviously more developed because that's kind of the time where you will get more powers or more stuff, and this game's already
Mhm.
packed with content, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
Yeah, I think Clay said a lot of great stuff there. I'll make mine pretty quick. I think it's just a really charming, very fun game. I don't think it'll get me back into 2D Kirby again, but I would definitely be down to play another 3D Kirby game eventually because I had a lot of fun with it.
I guess one other thing too is the lore is fun. It's not you don't really get much of it. Um, I would say even compared to like Robobot or whatever, it's not as in depth or as interesting. So I'm a little let down in that regard.
Mm.
Um, but there's still stuff there, and it's still a neat game in that sense. And also the music's amazing. So
There's no spoken dialogue until the last world, which is very interesting.
yeah, there's kind of like a lore dump of sorts
Yeah,
at the end. Um, Yeah, the game does some interesting things. Like it has that vocal song, which I was not
yeah,
expecting. It's
the
kind of
song is
mid.
funny.
I'm not kind of wild. I'm not it's grown on me.
It's funny. It's not something I'd ever listened to, but it was
Yeah.
charming that it was in there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of neat special touches in this game. And the music is fantastic. Um,
Mm.
and the new characters and stuff are all very cool. The wuffies are like adorable.
Yeah, they're very cute.
Like they're all very much like you want plushies
It's
of
a
all
it's a
every
shame you have to
character.
murder all of them.
Yeah, I mean I had fun murdering them all, but
Yeah.
that's just me. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
who knows what's next?
Yeah, I look forward to it. Well, that has been the Nintendo Pipeline podcast. Thank you, Clay, for joining me.
Thanks for
Uh,
listening to me ramble about Kirby for 10 million years.
yeah, and thank you to our editor Ness underscore for putting this together. And you can visit us on nintendopipeline.wordpress.com. Our YouTube is Nintendo Pipeline. Uh, and Nintendo Pipeline podcast can be found on YouTube and any podcast platform you can gosh darn think of. So
That's for
enjoy the
sure.
rest of your day or evening.
Yeah, we will catch you next time.
Peace.